Imagine this. A legendary actress, known for her unparalleled depth and grace on screen, steps into the bright lights of a morning talk show studio. The air is buzzing with anticipation, the audience alive with whispers and smiles. This is The Gayle King Show, a staple of daytime television where conversations flow like coffee, warm, inviting, but sometimes scalding hot. On this particular morning in early 2025, Meryl Streep, the queen of cinema with over 21 Academy Award nominations under her belt, arrives to promote her latest film, a poignant drama about women's resilience in the face of societal pressures. The film, titled Echoes of Silence, has already generated Oscar buzz, and Streep is here to share her insights. But as the cameras roll and the applause fades, no one in that studio, or watching at home, could predict the storm about to unfold. This wasn't just an interview. It was about to become television history. And what started as a friendly chat would soon expose raw truths about power, art, and personal boundaries. Stick around, because the tension is just beginning to build. The studio lights gleam off the sleek set, a modern blend of plush armchairs and oversized screens displaying clips from Streep's illustrious career. Gayle King, the host renowned for her probing interviews and close friendship with Oprah Winfrey, sits poised with her signature warm smile, her notes neatly arranged on the table between them. The co-hosts, including veteran journalist Norah O'Donnell and comedian Wanda Sykes, flank her, ready to chime in with light-hearted banter. The live audience, a diverse mix of fans clutching coffee mugs and smartphones, erupts in cheers as Streep walks on stage. She's elegant in a tailored pantsuit, her silver-streaked hair framing a face that's seen decades of triumphs and heartaches. At 75, Streep exudes a quiet confidence, waving graciously as she takes her seat. "Thank you for having me, Gayle," Streep says, her voice smooth and measured, like a well-rehearsed monologue. "It's wonderful to be here discussing Echoes of Silence. This film really delves into the quiet strength women find in everyday battles." King nods enthusiastically, her eyes sparkling. "Meryl, we're thrilled to have you. Your performance is breathtaking. It's like you're channeling real-life heroes. But before we dive in, tell us, what drew you to this role? In a world full of noise, why focus on silence?" The conversation starts innocently enough. Streep speaks passionately about the script's authenticity, drawing parallels to her own experiences in Hollywood. The audience laughs at her witty anecdotes about method acting mishaps, and the co-hosts interject with compliments. O'Donnell praises Streep's versatility, while Sykes cracks a joke about how Streep could probably play a convincing alien if she wanted. The vibe is convivial, the kind of segment that boosts ratings with feel-good energy. But as the minutes tick by, a subtle shift occurs. King's questions begin to veer from the film into more personal territory, probing Streep's views on current events. "You've always been an advocate for women's rights, Meryl," King says, leaning forward slightly. "From your speeches at awards shows to your support for various causes. But some critics say that in recent years you've been quieter. With everything happening in politics, the elections, social movements, why haven't we seen more activism from you? Is art enough in times like these?" Streep pauses, her smile fading just a touch. The audience murmurs softly, sensing the pivot. She adjusts her posture, crossing her legs with deliberate grace. "Well, Gayle, art has always been my way of speaking. Through roles like this, I aim to illuminate issues without shouting from rooftops. It's about subtlety, about letting the story resonate." But King presses on, her tone sharpening ever so slightly, like a knife being honed. "Subtlety is beautiful, but in a divided world, don't you think celebrities have a responsibility to be louder? Take someone like Jane Fonda. She's out there protesting, getting arrested for climate change. Your films are masterpieces, but is that activism, or is it entertainment wrapped in a bow?" The studio falls into an uneasy hush. O'Donnell shifts in her seat, glancing at Sykes, who forces a nervous chuckle. "Whoa, Gayle, going deep already," Sykes says, trying to lighten the mood. But the audience isn't laughing. A few people exchange wide-eyed looks, phones subtly raised as if anticipating something viral. Streep's expression hardens, her blue eyes locking onto King's with a mix of surprise and resolve. The air thickens, the hum of the camera is suddenly louder in the silence. What Streep says next could defuse the situation, or ignite it further. But as the tension simmers, a producer in the control room whispers urgently into their headset. "This is gold, but keep rolling." Little do they know, this is only the spark. The real fire is about to erupt, and it will leave everyone questioning where the line between tough questions and personal attacks truly lies. Don't go anywhere, the confrontation is just heating up. The studio lights of the Gayle King show feel hotter now, as if they're amplifying the growing tension between Meryl Streep and Gayle King. The audience, still clutching their coffee mugs, sits on the edge of their seats, their earlier excitement replaced by a palpable unease. Meryl Streep, her face a mask of poised restraint, processes Gayle's pointed question about her activism, or perceived lack thereof. The accusation hangs in the air: is Streep's art enough in a world demanding louder voices? The hum of the cameras is almost deafening in the quiet, and Norah O'Donnell's nervous glance at Wanda Sykes does little to break the spell. Everyone senses this moment is teetering on the edge of something unforgettable. But what happens next will shock the entire studio, and millions watching at home. Stay with us, because Meryl Streep is about to show why she's a legend, and it's not just about acting. Streep leans forward slightly, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, a subtle sign of the storm brewing beneath her calm exterior. "Gayle," she begins, her voice steady but laced with an edge. "Art isn't a bow on entertainment. It's a mirror, a catalyst. It challenges people to think, to feel, to question, sometimes more powerfully than a megaphone. I've spent my career telling stories that matter. Isn't that a form of activism in itself?" The audience murmurs, some nodding in agreement, others waiting for King's response. King tilts her head, her smile now tinged with a challenge. "Sure, Meryl, your films move people. Nobody's denying that. But when the world's on fire, politically, socially, some say sitting in a studio, playing pretend, doesn't cut it. People want leaders, not just storytellers. Why not use your platform to march, to speak out directly? Are you afraid of getting your hands dirty?" The words land like a slap. A collective gasp ripples through the audience, and a woman in the front row covers her mouth, her phone still recording. Wanda Sykes lets out a low whistle, muttering, "Oh, we're going there, huh?" under her breath, but it's picked up by the mic, drawing a few nervous laughs. O'Donnell tries to interject, her journalist instincts kicking in. "I think what Gayle means is, there's so much pressure on public figures today to take a stand." But King cuts her off, eyes locked on Streep. "No, Nora, I'm asking directly. Meryl, you're an icon. Why not lead the charge like others do?" Streep's jaw tightens, her fingers gripping the armrest of her chair. The cameras zoom in, capturing the faintest tremor in her hand, a detail that will later explode across social media. "I respect those who march, Gayle," she says, her voice now carrying a quiet intensity. "I've supported causes, Time's Up, women's rights, education, for decades, often behind the scenes. But I believe art can reach hearts in ways protests sometimes don't. Why must I choose one over the other? Why is my way less valid?" King doesn't back down. She leans forward, her tone almost prosecutorial. "Because some see it as a cop-out, Meryl. Playing a feminist in a film isn't the same as risking backlash in real life. People look to you for courage, not just craft. Are you saying you're content to stay comfortable while others fight?" The studio is deathly silent now, save for the soft clatter of a producer's clipboard dropping in the control room. The audience is divided. Some fans nod in support of Streep, while others whisper, intrigued by King's boldness. A man in the back row mutters, "She didn't just say that," loud enough for his neighbor to shush him. Sykes tries to diffuse the tension with a quip. "Well, I'd say Meryl's fighting right now, wouldn't you?" But it falls flat, the room too charged to laugh. Streep's eyes narrow, and for a moment, it's as if the entire studio shrinks to just her and King. "Comfortable?" she repeats, her voice low but slicing through the silence like a blade. "You think spending 50 years in an industry that chews up women and spits them out is comfortable?" You think choosing roles that challenge norms, that expose injustice, is playing it safe? Gayle, I've fought my battles, not always with a megaphone, but with every choice I've made. What have you done with your platform, besides throwing stones? The audience erupts in a mix of gasps and applause, some standing in support, others frozen in shock. King's smile falters, her hand twitching toward her notes, as if grasping for control. The producers in the control room are in chaos. One yells, "Keep the cameras on her!" while another frantically signals for a commercial break. O'Donnell looks like she wants to disappear, while Sykes mouths, "Oh snap!" to no one in particular. The stage is set for an explosive confrontation, and Meryl Streep isn't done yet. What she does next will leave jaws on the floor and spark a firestorm online. Don't move, because this moment is about to go viral. The studio of the Gayle King show is a pressure cooker, the air thick with the weight of Meryl Streep's words. Her piercing question, "What have you done with your platform, besides throwing stones?" hangs over Gayle King like a storm cloud. The audience is a mosaic of reactions. Some clap in solidarity with Streep, others sit frozen, their phones capturing every second of the escalating drama. Norah O'Donnell's face is a study in discomfort, her hands fidgeting with her pen, while Wanda Sykes leans back, eyes wide, as if watching a high-stakes boxing match. The cameras, relentless in their focus, zoom in on King, whose smile has vanished, replaced by a tight-lipped expression of someone caught off guard. In the control room, producers are in a frenzy, one shouting, "This is going viral!" while another pleads, "Do we cut to commercial?" But the world is watching, and Meryl Streep is far from finished. What she does next will redefine this moment, and leave everyone questioning the power of words and the cost of crossing a legend. Don't blink, because this is about to become television history. Streep rises slowly from her chair, her movements deliberate, like a queen addressing her court. The soft clack of her heels on the polished stage echoes in the silent studio, each step amplifying the tension. She turns to face the audience, her blue eyes blazing with a mix of fury and conviction. "You know," she says, her voice steady but trembling with emotion, "I came here to talk about a film that celebrates women's resilience. But instead I'm being asked to justify my life's work, as if telling stories that challenge, inspire, and heal isn't enough." Her gaze sweeps the room, locking eyes with a young woman in the front row, whose tear-streaked face mirrors Streep's own intensity. "Art isn't a cop-out. It's a lifeline. It's how we process pain, how we find hope, how we change minds. To call that playing pretend is to dismiss every artist who's ever dared to speak truth." The audience erupts in applause, some standing, others whispering in awe. A man in the back yells, "You tell her, Meryl!" while a woman nearby wipes her eyes, her phone shaking in her hand. King, visibly rattled, tries to regain control. "Meryl, I'm not dismissing your work," she says, her voice softer now, almost conciliatory. "I'm just saying that in times like these, people expect more direct action from someone with your influence." But her words lack their earlier bite, and the audience senses it. Sykes jumps in, trying to lighten the mood. Okay, let's all take a breath. Maybe we can agree Meryl's a national treasure, right?" A few laughs ripple through the crowd, but the tension remains electric. Streep shakes her head, her expression a mix of disappointment and resolve. "Gayle, I've spent decades fighting for what I believe in, through my choices, my roles, my voice. I don't need to prove my courage to anyone. But when you use your platform to diminish someone's contribution, you're not sparking dialogue, you're shutting it down." She pauses, letting the words sink in, then turns to the audience again. "This isn't about me. It's about all of us. We don't have to choose between art and activism, between speaking and creating. Every voice matters, in every form. And if we tear each other down instead of building each other up, what are we left with?" The studio is silent for a heartbeat, then explodes in a standing ovation. Even O'Donnell claps, her face a mix of admiration and relief, while Sykes lets out a loud, "Preach, Meryl!" King sits back, her hands clasped tightly, her expression unreadable. A producer in the control room whispers, "We're trending worldwide." As social media lights up with clips of Streep's speech, hashtags like hashtag Meryl Speaks Truth and hashtag #ArtIsActivism flooding X. But Streep isn't done. With a final glance at King, she says, "I came here to talk about echoes of silence. If you want to discuss that, I'm here. If not, I think we're done." And with that, she walks off the stage, her head high, the click of her heels fading into the stunned silence. The cameras follow her exit, capturing the shock on King's face and the divided audience, some cheering, others murmuring in debate. A producer scrambles to cue the commercial break, but not before a young audience member's video clip hits the internet, racking up millions of views within minutes. The control room is chaos, with staff shouting about damage control and trending topics. O'Donnell tries to smooth things over, saying, "Well, that was intense. Let's take a break and come back with more." Sykes adds, "Yeah, and maybe some chill vibes next time." But the attempt at humor feels hollow. Epilogue: The aftermath. In the days that follow, the confrontation becomes a cultural touchstone. Clips of Streep's speech dominate X, YouTube, and news outlets, sparking heated debates about the role of artists in activism. Some praise Streep for her eloquence and dignity, calling her a beacon of authenticity. Others argue King was right to challenge her, claiming celebrities must do more in turbulent times. King issues a statement on X saying, "I respect Meryl's contributions and meant to spark a conversation, not a conflict. Art matters, and so does action." Streep, true to form, remains silent, letting her words on the show speak for themselves. Echoes of Silence sees a surge in ticket sales, with audiences flocking to theaters to witness the performance at the heart of the controversy. The incident reshapes perceptions of both women. Streep's reputation as a thoughtful, principled artist solidifies, while King faces criticism for crossing a line, though some defend her for asking tough questions. The moment becomes a case study in media classes, dissected for its lessons on power dynamics, respect, and the intersection of art and activism. And as the dust settles, one question lingers: who was right? Did Streep prove that art is a form of activism, or did King expose a gap in celebrity responsibility? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let us know, whose side are you on? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that spark conversation and challenge the status quo.